And we are back live with the Blame Girl podcast
Mr. Terry Wayne.
and we got Ariel Baron in the house. Welcome, Ariel.
Hi, hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us and putting up with us and blaming with us this week. Before we get into it, how was your weekend?
My weekend's been really great. Friday, I just had a night to myself, which I like to have at least one if I can help it. And then yesterday morning, I went to West Palm Beach. They had a reptile expo at the fairgrounds where it's just like a whole bunch of vendors with different creatures. And I got to go play and run around and hold all the animals. And it was really fun. And then last night, I went to my friend's party and now I'm here.
Nice. Was it a birthday party? What was it?
It was just a party, just I think to celebrate the new year coming in and like good vibes. It was my friend Mel, who I knew from college, who threw it. And
Okay.
fun fact, her mom's never going to see this, so she won't know. But I accidentally knocked over like a little like statue thing that was just left out, like,
Oh
and
no.
it broke. Like the head broke off, like it was in a sitcom.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was gonna say this sounds a lot like the Brady Bunch, or maybe
We have
Literally, we
we
were
have
all on
a large
yeah.
ship, so you never know. No.
Mom's
were
gonna be home in
on
30
the
minutes. Where are we gonna get another velvet
Oh
Elvis?
God, no. We were on the floor looking for pieces, like six adults just scouring the floor for a piece of plastic. It was just crazy. But all's well. She fixed it. I only got slightly mortified. Good time.
There's nothing funnier than watching adults being children, the
Oh
children
God.
that they are in their heads still. Yeah.
It was,
What
and even the mentality was like, we have to fix it or the grown up will get mad. Like, which is
It's
the
like
owner of the
yeah, it's like Doug, you're 38, you know.
house. We're all in our mid to late 20s. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but it was a good time.
Hmm. It never ends.
No, I don't want it to.
All right, Terry, how was
Well,
your weekend?
I have stellar news for you then, Ariel, because it doesn't. Uh, Nothing. Just nothing. Just absolutely nothing. It's funny how, 3 weeks ago it was -5 degrees. Today it's 60. And it happened like within 7 days. It was -5 on Thursday. And then a week later on Thursday, it was 60 degrees. Climate change is real, y'all, for real. Like it's bananas.
That's dramatic.
It is. It's pretty dramatic. What have I been doing this week? Nothing. Just still out there begging for money.
Yeah.
Not on the off ramp, but with a with
Not
a
anymore, huh?
clear with a no with a clearly written, very thoughtful, very intricately researched business plan,
Yeah.
and got about 4 prospects right now from private investors that all look good. So one of them is going to pay out here in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll have a sandwich shop
Making
Yeah.
money moves.
making all the money moves.
I
Yes.
can't wait for you. I really
Very
can't.
good.
That's his calling, man. With food. And maybe
Making
one
that.
day you can mix the food and comedy. I don't know, but
Mhm.
Look, you're
um
eating food right now. You're so right.
Yeah. Yeah.
so my weekend was pretty uneventful. I didn't really do anything. I did all my stuff during the week with comedy, and on Friday I took a night off that I needed. And last night I did go catch a show at Smoke Inn, and now I'm gonna be there in March. So um
Yay.
but I just,
Uh,
I like support, and it was really close. I like supporting comedy even when I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So
Not to mention that's how you get booked. If
I
you
guess
Yes.
want to go, if you want to go up, you got to show up. That's the thing.
Amen.
all right. So I guess we just gonna get right into blaming. We had some kind of uneventful weekends. Um but you know who hasn't had uneventful weekends? Are those passport bros that travel out of the country, go
Ooh.
find women, and now the US of A is advising them to stop traveling, stop dating when they travel. especially when you go to Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
The blame guy.
Getting
Who's to blame, guys? Why are these passport bros
the
being
idiots who think they
advised
can,
not to travel? Why are they being advised not to travel? Who's to blame?
because they're morons. They think they can go to, uh, South American countries and and some woman's like, "Hey, want to come home with me?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And then you get murdered, rightfully so.
They don't even
It's
just get
that
robbed; they get murdered.
I think it's that mentality that like, women are really raised with the mindset that like you have to be on the defensive no matter where you are, but especially when you travel.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, that same consideration isn't given to men, which then puts them in really vulnerable, dangerous situations that they don't even know they're in until it's too late.
Yeah.
No,
No.
that's how instinctual and predatory a man's instinct to breed is. It's like, well, I'm gonna go into this dark alley and maybe we'll get out of. That's how powerful the pussy
They'll
is.
risk their lives.
Yep.
Yep.
But you know what? These guys are not just risking their lives because they could get women in their own countries, but they decided to go out of town because they want to find traditional women
No.
to
I would venture
marry.
to say they can't get women in their own country, which is why they
Yeah.
go to these places.
Exactly. You're not going to Columbia if you could have gone to Connecticut. Okay, it doesn't make any sense.
And
Hey,
if you do
speak
go
for
to
yourself,
Colombia,
Terry.
you're still gonna have to spend money because Colombia is where the prostitution capital of the world is. You're likely either hooking up with a prostitute or maybe a murderer in
The
some
more
cases.
you know.
You
Yeah.
know where else prostitution is legal? Uh, Amsterdam, Australia, Germany,
It ain't.
Costa Rica, plenty of other places
Isn't
that,
it legal in Vegas too?
yeah, it's legal in the
Yeah.
United States. You can go to Vegas and get a prostitute legally.
Well, these aren't even just prostitutes that are killing. It's the women on the dating apps because these men, like I
Mm.
say, they're going there to try to find a traditional wife, and so they get on the dating apps, and there's you're still at risk
It's
for exploitation, dude. You're worried about the American women exploiting you and trying to take your money. If you're in a family, quit worrying about that.
No, it's gangs. It's Colombian gangs that are essentially just they're catfishing. They're catfishing, but with murder.
Yeah.
Like I think a good rule of
There was
thumb.
actually a comedian that was murdered in Colombia doing
I
this.
think I saw that.
I
Yeah, that
think
was
a good a good rule of thumb, fellas, is if it seems too good to be true, it is. Okay. That 11 that you're talking to on Tinder does not want your 4.5 ass. Okay. So just do as Shaggy says, and if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. Never.
If she's an 11,
do it.
she's trying to get your money, period. So,
These bitches and hoes.
yeah.
If she's smart,
Yeah.
if I was a woman and I was 11, you think I'm dating the assistant manager at Walmart? No.
Going on Instagram and posting thirst traps. I'm going on TikTok and posting thirst traps because that's really all it takes sometimes.
I'm not even doing that. That's loser mentality. I'm going to Vegas or I'm going to LA.
Snagging a bill. You're Shira.
That's right. And I'm looking in the valet section at which cafe has the best cars, and then I'm putting my fine ass in a seat there alone and waiting, just trolling, waiting for Jeff Bezos to come by.
You've planned this out, haven't you?
Yeah, he
You
had
thought
a
that before.
Well, look at Bill Gates' wife. She ain't never programmed a piece of software in her life. She got like $30 billion. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's playing the long game.
That's the long game because
That's the game
That's right.
they don't talk about.
it's the generational wealth game, right?
Uh-huh.
And you know what? People with generational wealth probably don't deal with this problem. Airline manners. When you're flying, I did not know this happened to people. Sometimes apparently when you're flying, people's legs reach all the way through and up under your seat and be touching your feet. Y'all, that's so gross. Who's to blame? Why? I did not know this was happening.
I think it's just lack of sensor or spatial awareness, or just pure selfish. Like because the article that you sent me, very clearly the person whose foot was under there was bending in a way that it would touch the person.
Yeah, it was touching the back
Like
of
they
the
were doing it on purpose.
yeah. That's true, but I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm gonna say yes, Ariel. It is selfish. But
Oh, it's
on the airlines part, we are not, if you're gonna make seats one size fits all, go the biggest size that people can be and stop fucking with us and give us more
that's
fucking on the
ridiculous.
plane.
That's ridiculous. You're essentially asking airlines to make less money, and that's not going to happen.
It is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, that's completely ridiculous.
Why don't you
No,
put
this
ahead of, and that's really it. Because what if you have some big long motherfucker whose feet have to stretch to, and there's no room at the foot. You have
then he should get an aisle seat. I'm 6 foot tall. Legs are pretty long. I have a pretty hard time, especially on long flights, flights to Europe and things like that. They're 10, 12 hours sometimes. I always get an aisle seat for two reasons. One, I'm not climbing over anybody to do anything. And then two, man, stretch the ponies out right in the aisle. That's how you do it. If you're a big guy or a big lady, get yourself an aisle seat. It's the same way where, if you're a heavier person, you're 3-4 bills or whatever, buy 2 seats. Don't put everybody else in that position. You know what I mean? Like, and not to mention, it's modern narcissism. That's who's to blame. We all feel like we're special. I can't
believe you act like airline seats are big enough. Like, come on.
They're not. Well, they're not. But I also understand the economics on the other side. The airlines don't make crazy money. That's why we had to bail them out several times, because they don't make crazy money. They just don't. It's not a particularly beneficial industry on their side, because you're always constantly trying to make an extra penny, because jet fuel ain't cheap. But I'm telling you this, it is modern narcissism. It is the social media era, where everybody feels like they're special and everybody thinks their voice should be heard, and they shouldn't. There was a point in time where if you got on an airplane, you were expected to dress well and look nice and be now you got, well, I'm just saying, it was a nicer time. It was, the etiquette was way better. Can you even disagree? Now you got people.
Would I have been allowed on planes in the 50s and 60s? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, if you have money, yeah, everybody wants.
Black airline, so they didn't have airline manners then. Like, maybe it's a little bit of selfishness on people's part, but I think we need to push to make, like, if you're making new planes, stop making this little Spirit ass shit. You know what I mean?
I have said for the longest time, instead of going 3 seats next to each other, all sitting upright, do it like Japanese hotels and just make 3 people laying down one on top of the other.
Oh my God, that would be chaos.
Like bunk beds, like bunk bed style. So now everybody's laying down in like their own little Japanese hotel room. You've seen those before, I'm sure.
Oh, like the capsule hotel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you just laid, and now everybody's laying down. Half the people are going to fall asleep. Put your little TV. Yeah, put your little TV in there. Now you don't have to worry about deep vein thrombosis that some people get when they sit for too long. It's brilliant.
I think it's useful because I can't sleep sitting up at all.
Neither can I.
I need to be laying down. If not, the best chance that I have of getting sleep on a plane is taking my melatonin with a glass of wine. So
a doctor told me to do that.
Doctor told me to do that.
I was in Germany, and my ex-wife's in-laws or whatever, they had a friend who was a doctor, and he was over, and I said, yeah, the flight's tough. The jet lag really gets me because I can't sleep on planes. He says, take a sleeping pill and drink 1 glass of red wine. He's like, you'll wake up when you're there.
Yeah. I didn't wake up when I was there, but it did knock me out for a solid 5 hours, which is like unheard of for me. It wasn't good sleep, but it was sleep.
I'll fall asleep on a plane in a heart. I could just be like, easy. And
Well, lucky
I'll
you.
say this: I took a pill once when I was flying back from Italy. My friend that we were visiting there, he gave me something. I don't even know what it was. All I know is I was asleep before takeoff, and I didn't wake up till we landed.
I think that was a roofie. I think he roofied you.
Thank you,
I
CA.
think
It was
Uh,
perfect.
no, but it's total narcissism because you see it on planes all the time.
And then
People
it blew
always,
up on social media, and now you're probably
well, nowadays, but I mean, people act like this hasn't happened all throughout, air travel. But now everybody's got a phone, so it ends up on YouTube and goes viral, and you get to see the Karen screaming at the flight attendants.
it's like
Like how many
I
of those videos have you
stop
seen?
watching them.
But
I really can't.
is social media killing people though? Like Congress says, you know, why are they saying this? Who's to blame?
I
I'm
think
gonna let you go because I'm gonna go for a minute on this one.
I
Right.
think it depends on the context. Because the internet is used in like an infinity number of different ways. Like obviously there's horrible things on the dark web. There are things that we just can't get to that are going to be there forever. There is snuff films. There's just really crazy stuff that like
Yeah.
like it's out there and it's a tool that can be used by really bad people. And at the same time, it's like such a crucial like resource now that the majority of the world is accustomed to. So
Well,
yeah.
do you think because with regards to Congress and they're grilling, the Zuckerbergs and the shoe of TikTok, and
Mm-hmm.
they are kind of blaming them and telling them that they need to apologize to people because their platforms are killing people. But yeah, I think it's like you say, they are not just killing people. I don't know if, deaths, I'm sure deaths have been linked to TikTok and Facebook, but
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
but
A big
first
thing
of
with
all,
tests that are linked to something like TikTok a lot of the times will be based more on a trend that goes wrong.
yeah,
Someone trying to recreate something that they saw someone else do.
a
I
hashtag.
think that's why it's so important. Like, they say that TikTok's not a children's app, and it really isn't because it is so easy for your algorithm to like flip and you see something that you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
well, TikTok's pretty censored. Like you're not even allowed to say the word murder, shoot, gun, or any of that, or you get pulled off. You have to say unalive, pew pew, and shit like that. It's pretty ridiculous how infantile that site has become. I watch it and I feel like I should be watching Dora the Explorer instead. So to say that you could just flip over and see murders is crazy.
But
I
that
would
and, and that's the
I,
other thing,
but
like the
If
fact
now
murdered.
the fact
now
that
you can
TikTok,
you can absolutely, I mean, you can absolutely see murders and horrible shit on the internet, but usually you have to go to the dark web, which takes a lot of effort. Like you
but it's
really have
wild
to.
that like they're accusing them of not doing anything, and like what you just said, Terry, you can't even say certain terms
No.
on here, or you're
If you say the word rape on TikTok, you will get banned.
you have to
And
say great,
huh?
great.
Yeah, or essay or whatever. You know who that's really unfortunate for? Rape victims who want to tell their story. You know what I mean? Or who want to
But that's
communicate
not
or
true. I mean, I see videos where people do use the actual terminology, and
yes, and
they don't get banned.
a lot of the times they do. I've seen it.
And they're like they have a
We've
big platform, but I see a lot of I mean like a big platform like nationally. Like I mean, I don't mean just on social media. I mean like
That's fine. Well,
Taylor Swift goes on and decides to talk about rape, then she's not gonna get a mark against her. But if
yeah, because they don't want Taylor Swift leaving,
yeah,
but and
so
taking 40 million people with her. But back to the point. I was super, super disgusted watching watch this on C-SPAN, them grilling these social media people because you're blaming CEOs for basically people being assholes on the internet. And you're not going to stop that because as soon as you create anonymity for a person,
yeah,
and there's going to be no consequence, the absolute worst shit is going to come out of most people. Like there are things that I have said while driving on I-95 that I would never say even in front of another human being in my whole life. But if you put a windshield in front of me, there's nothing I won't say. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way that's just way people are. And they didn't, by the way, those families, this was the part that really disgusted me. Those families they brought on, they weren't victims of somebody doing a TikTok trend and dying. These were families of suicide victims that they brought on there. And as a family member of a suicide victim, I can tell you the only person that is to blame in a suicide is the person who committed suicide. That's it. You can try and spread blame to Mark Zuckerberg if you want, but the end of the day is you don't want to accept the fact that a person you loved chose to end their life. That's what's what. And I, like I said, as a person who knows this, very intimately, I know it's a hard battle, but blaming TikTok is not going to save you. Okay. Because the world is a mean, cruel, harsh place, and you need to come to terms with living in it. Okay. Find good things in life and hang on to them as much as you can. Don't blame Facebook or Instagram or TikTok for your problems. Okay. They're your problems. And I understand that those mothers were very upset that their children are gone, but they need to learn to blame their children.
I don't think we've covered this as a possible blame, but I think that Republicans have it out for social media. And I think it's because that it spreads too much information to their constituents that they wouldn't otherwise want knowing. And that's why you have a dumbass like, was it Tom Cotton questioning the CEO of TikTok, asking him if he's in the Chinese Communist Party, and he isn't even from China.
Well, that's,
like
and now that you say this, was my other point, which is it definitely is the Republicans that were going the hardest, especially Crawley or whoever that was, Hawley, Hawley or whatever his name is. Hawley saying, "Oh, you need to apologize to the victims of this family because you didn't protect their kids while they were online." That same dude would be railing against TikTok and Twitter if they violated somebody's First Amendment rights by not letting them say that COVID was a hoax or that Donald Trump really won the election. Oh, no, you can't censor that, but you got to try to figure out who's bullying somebody at school while they're using slang terms they've never heard of. Get the fuck out of here, man. It's a political puppet show, and it's disgusting for them to bring these families of these suicide victims out there and use them as political pawns to try and score a few points when nobody fucking cared. Anybody barely even picked up the story. It was in the news cycle for like 48 hours. It's over.
They're just trying to keep their Republicans off TikTok so that they...
Oh, it's ridiculous. No, because there's just as much nonsense on there that's right-wing fueled as there is left-wing fueled. You know?
It's not in my FYP.
Yeah, I mean, it's
very hard for my algorithm.
Thank you.
Well, it's in their algorithm. Okay. Yeah. It's so much in their algorithm that you had literally a sitting president that was quoting stats and numbers that were on a Facebook meme, unverified. And then he got called out on Fox News by his own people saying, you can't say that. It's not real. He's like, well, I saw it on the internet. What are you going to do?
And
people need sense.
He still got to be president, and it's wild.
And he's probably going to be president again.
I take everything that I see on the internet with the biggest grain of salt. I have learned so fast to question everything that I see on there, especially on a site like TikTok where the scamming is just astronomical. Like there are some of the cringiest, weirdest advertisements. I bought one thing from the TikTok shop. I bought one thing. I'm not buying anything else. It was totally not planned. It was, I paid $5. Actually, give me one sec. I have it right here. Here it is. I bought this cheap bag for like $5. No shipping. And I'm like, I can't not get this, but it's so cheap. And I knew it was going.
What'd you expect?
I didn't expect. That's what I'm saying. I knew to expect that it was going to be crappy. I was just,
but you were just experimenting
how crappy it would be.
Yeah. Now you know.
Well, that's like that. That's like the old joke. A guy goes to a $5 prostitute. Next day he comes back and says, "Hey, you gave me crabs." And she goes, for $5, what'd you expect? Lobster? You know, like
I love that.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. But I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah,
I get that
but
more than anyone. And it's cute. But
everything you
remember,
see online is a lie. Just
yeah.
go into it assuming that everything you see online, including this, is a lie.
Shopping. And let me just add to that. Let me just add to that. Even when you read the news, like this next story is from NBC, and the headline is saying that NYC, New York cops are basically assaulted by migrants released
Yeah.
without bail. Who's to blame? And
Well,
what I want to know is like, why'd they assault the cops? You know, were they justified? Is that why they were released without bail? Who's to blame here, guys? What do you think?
well, I mean, if you read it, you know exactly why they got assaulted. It's because they tried to break up a group of migrants that were outside of a theater in the you know uh in the Times Square district. If you know that district at all of New York, it's right there next to all the Broadway theaters. And they were trying to break up a group of migrants, and the migrants just beat the shit out of them. Essentially, 13 dudes beat up two cops. But the reason I put this story in here is not because they're migrants, and it's not because they beat up two cops, because I'm sure this has happened in cities all across the country where cops get beat up
Because they were
sometimes.
released without bail.
It's not even really that, because the two main assailants, the ones that they're calling the main assailants that incited this and then did the most damage, both had $15,000 bails put on them, but some of them didn't. And I'm a big advocate for non-violent offenders to not have to undergo bail, because I look at it as like a pauper's jail, is what they used to call it, where if you're just too poor, they just put you in jail. Well, that's the same thing for when it comes to non-violent offenders, at least. That's the same thing for bail. You're innocent until proven guilty. How are they locking you up for 6 months waiting for a trial to prove your innocence? You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Why are you in jail for 6 months? I've never understood that. But violent offenders is different. But the reason I brought this up was, this is going to be a story that turns elections, because it's on camera, so there's no disputing the fact that those cops got the shit kicked out of them. B, they're migrants, and immigration's a huge hot button issue.
Yeah.
And even the Democratic governor of that state condemned this entire affair. And unless Democrats get in front of this, you're going to see this story repeated over and over and over again on Fox News and Newsmax and everywhere else for the next 6 months.
I went to victim blaming. I was like, well, what did they do to deserve this ass whooping? That's my only spin on it. That's all I got.
Like, they're cops. That's what they did.
I think
they beat up people all the time.
Sometimes.
Saying, don't let them get in the gang.
If you don't want to get beat up and you don't want to be in danger, don't be a cop and don't be a robber. Okay. We were all kids at one point. Okay.
It's a pretty simple formula.
Mm-hmm. Go work at Target.
I think this is where I'm pretty indecisive and can be kind of in the gray in a lot, because I think there's a lot that I also still don't fully know. But frankly, I'm just not big on violence. I'm not big on people being ganged up on, and you'd be surprised. There are plenty of people who relish in watching real disturbing, violent content. But
yeah, I can't do that. I watched this video of the cops being beat up, and I really don't think that they deserved it. I don't think, but
especially to that scale that it ended up being, with 13 people being piled on top of them.
I wonder why the migrants felt like they could do that, like,
well,
because there was 13 of them and 2 cops.
Yeah, but you're gonna face punishment for beating up cops.
Well, there is a report that they were shoplifting, but prior to this assault, they were shoplifting in in a department store earlier, just a few minutes before that. So there could be a connection if that ends up being true. This is a very preliminary report, but if that ends up being true, they might have been, thieving in 1 second, and then they see the cops, they think they're there for them, and they beat them up to get away. But the fact that they're migrants is going to come up so much, and it's not going to stop. This is going to stick around for a while.
It's going to be a Fox News thing.
Well, and the funny thing is, and I've said this on this podcast many times before, is we need migrants. If Republicans got their way, and I could snap my fingers and every migrant is instantly gone from the country, the economy collapses tomorrow. Because you can't get an American to pick tomatoes for $25 a day, out in the hot sun. You can't do it. So unless you want to pay, $30 a pound for strawberries, then you need those migrants, at least in some numbers. I can agree also with Republicans that it's too much. It's 10,000 a day. That's too much, So we do need border control. But unfortunately now, the Republicans don't want to sign off on a bill because Trump told them not to, because he wants to run on.
And you've got Elon Musk out here shouting how we don't need migrants, and piling it on to them. And I'm just like, for me, the math ain't mathing. And it's because you want to force American women to have babies so you have a workforce in the future, but you won't let people into the country. Make it make sense. They already have kids. You ain't got to force people to have kids so you have a workforce. If you want a workforce, then what's the fucking problem? Let these people in, let them get jobs, let them get educated and actually become citizens. But that's
the foundation of our economy is food growth, preparation, distributing, packaging. That's the foundation of our economy, because if that goes away, everything goes away. And unfortunately for a lot of Republicans, they're not really seeing what that foundation is made of, and it's made of the absolute lowest class of worker. So if you're trying to get rid of the lowest class of worker, well, then you better pull your son out of Yale and teach him how to start gardening, because we're going to need a lot of gardeners.
And make them have babies. Make them have their own babies so that you.
Okay, well, that's not really my point.
Everyone making their own butter.
Yeah. Traditional
bread.
Yep. Pluck your own chickens.
Yep.
Process your own beef. They're worried about AOC stealing their hamburgers. No, you need to worry about Jose leaving the country, because if he does, you ain't having no fucking hamburgers for a while.
Yeah, unless you go get a farm and start killing cows.
Exactly. I hope you know. I hope you know how to process a carcass.
Yeah.
I do. So
I would
I'm
die.
gonna be fine.
I would die.
But
I don't know what I'd be eating. Maybe fish.
This is Harry's excuse to tell us that he knows how to handle a carcass.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I can farm, man. Oh yeah. She told you about the food. The food.
It doesn't process the carcass. He's right about that. He know how to cook.
It doesn't start and stop with the cooking. Yeah.
And you know what? If we did do food like that, I bet you see a lot of illnesses go away, because our food, anyway.
Oh, you'd see a lot of illnesses.
Rabbit hole, and we don't have time for that. I want to get to know our comedian of the week, Ariel Baron. Welcome, Ariel. So,
hi, I've been here for 30 minutes. Thank you.
I know it's the official welcome.
It's your second welcome. That's like after the blaming,
Perfect.
Well, we just want to get to know you. So how long have you been doing comedy?
So, in terms of consistently doing it, I started it a little over 2 years ago. I think it was 2021, December. I went on a girls trip, and I came back being like, I've got to be a comedian. I actually used to be a musical theater actress. I went to school for it. And I was ready to do that. And then I had a major dry spell as an actor. So I just kind of thought about it, and I'm like, I need to be performing. I need to be doing something. I feel like I've just lost myself. And I realized that comedy was the best way for me to begin practicing radical self-acceptance of parts of myself that I thought were so embarrassing and so unsightly, but I was able to turn them into something that people could enjoy. And it changed my life. So I started around 2 years ago. I I had done it like once or twice in college, but again, that was still when I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. So now it's been going great.
Where did you get started?
Okay, that's actually kind of a funny story. I was gotten in touch with two people in the South Florida scene, Jack Norris and Connie Fernandez.
Okay.
I was talking more to Connie. She invited me to go to Spanx one night. And so I was like, okay, I just wanted to go to watch. I really wasn't planning on doing the open mic because I hadn't really prepared anything. And I get there, and Connie is Connie, so she forgot to let me know that she was working on seeing if she had COVID that night. I wasn't going to be able to make it. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm here by myself. And I was a lot more shy
Oh no.
back then than I am now. So I'm just kind of there in like my yellow striped shirt. And I remember it was Zach Bugarin, Nico Bowlingstein, and then a few other people. And Zach Bugarin, he still had his long flowing hair. He walks up to me. I guess Connie messaged him to like let him know to introduce himself. He comes over and he thinks I'm there to perform, and I wasn't. But I was so mesmerized.
He's not used to having an audience.
He walked over to me with the list, and I swore his hair was blowing in the wind. And
I was
just like,
he's got so much of it.
I'm like, yeah, and then I look and I signed my name, and I was like, oh fuck, and I bombed. I ate shit. It was terrible.
Of course you did.
But and I even I still have a picture of that night when I got in my car, and it's just me sobbing in my car. But I was like, in the moment, and I don't post it. I'm not that person. I just was like, I want to look back on this one day when I do better. So
when was the second time? Did you since it was so bad, what made you go back a second time? Did you actually go out and meet Connie finally, or Connie was just on the show a few weeks ago? First.
Yep. So, yeah, she's one of my best friends. She's awesome. But I was just like, you know what? I can't let that stop me. I knew that there had to be a bomb at some point, and everyone kept telling me it's good that it happened so early so you can get it out of the way. And so she invited me the next week to Taurus, which was a huge undertaking for me because I worked in Boca. I had to drive that hour late at night to go to Taurus. Actually, that whole night I felt like the main character because I was dating someone at the time, and an hour before I was supposed to leave my office to go to Taurus to meet Connie and Jack, this fucking ding dong texts me and breaks up with me over a text message. And I was just like, it was only like a 1 or 2 month relationship, and he was literally such a weenie of a man, but it was just, I was like, fuck it. I have a choice right now, and I'm either gonna fucking do this or I'm gonna crumble and go back to my room. So I drove down, I got up, and it wasn't perfect. Obviously, I've heard from everyone that was surprised that I did okay at Taurus because they're like, what? But yeah, it went pretty well. I've gotten better at telling more like singular jokes at that point. I was more telling stories and like monologues, but it went well.
In your back.
Yeah, it went. I met a lot of people. I think I met Wynton Francis for the first time that night. Amanda Basco.
He's our next guest, actually.
There you go. So it was a really good experience. And after that, there were definitely a lot of like flukes and jokes not working, and still a lot of learning to get to the point that I'm at today. But it really solidified that like no matter how bad a mic might be, I just need to find another one to go to next.
Hell yeah, that's a good attitude. Speaking of, what has become your favorite venue to perform at, but you cannot say?
The Improvs.
Good thing I've never performed at the Improvs.
That's an answer we hear more and more these days.
And that is a big bucket list of mine, though. But
you don't have to make it a bucket list. Just go. You can get on. It's easy.
You're right.
It's the easiest. That's why you can't say it, because it's the easiest rooms. They're listed as A rooms, and they're A rooms for a reason.
You're right. But I need a little bit of drama in my life, Terry. So I am going to say that it's my bucket list and I'm going to achieve it.
Okay, fine. If you want some theatricalness to it, go ahead. You can have your Eminem 8 Mile moments.
I
in
don't
the
want
bathroom.
to eat it. So,
Okay.
anyways, my favorite room, I have to say Kelly Brothers because it's just like one of my homes. Abby is also one of my best friends. It was one of the I went there very consistently for a while. I don't go as much because I wake up at 5 every morning for work.
Mm,
So even if it's on a Friday, it's hard for me to like be up past 9 p.m.
yeah. Oh my God.
But the
Really,
nights that I
really-
am able to get there, I won the little competition one time and it was really, really great. And yeah, it's just where I worked out a lot of my material. Um, I know
It's
a lot of
funny
people there.
because I feel I don't know if I talked about this on here recently, but I've been saying this, and that's become a really good room. Like the last open mic I did there, I was like pretty impressed because I've seen that room go through several different hands. It was like
Sure.
Damien Figler when I started, and then Sean Mullins ran it for a while, and then when Abby left, when he left, then Abby took it over, and
Yeah.
like it felt like a show last time. It was crowded, and it was like fun to go up. I got
It
a
can be a
video.
really fun place, although I will say there are some times that it's a little too rowdy, which is by no fault of Abby's.
Mhm.
Like there was the last time I was there, it just so happened that there were these two men sitting right near the stage that just wouldn't stop talking. And they were the kind of people who, instead of like noticing that there was a performer with a microphone on the stage, they felt the need to speak over me the entire and make sure that they were heard amongst each other.
Fuck
It
those
was
people.
very rude and frustrating, but I pushed through. I did the best that I could. And I was the very first person to go up. So I do it, I
Wait a
get on.
second. Wait a second. So you're saying that an Irish bar full of drunk people got a little rowdy? I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Thank you,
Does this
Terry.
look like the face of a liar?
But it's also her
Yeah.
favorite bar.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's her
That
favorite.
looks like the face of the woman that tells you, yeah, it's your kid. That's
I'm sorry for his behavior, Ariel.
Okay. I needed that.
All right.
Um,
So, where have you been able to do any traveling for comedy?
Not as much. Really the most traveling I do for comedy is to West Palm or Miami because I'm in Coral Springs, but uh
terrible vacations.
Where's the
really
furthest? What's the furthest place you've gone for comedy?
Palm Beach Gardens, it was actually off the cuff.
Yes, I remember, and we got you up though, didn't we?
You got me up. It was
Yeah.
such a great experience.
Yes.
It was
I
really
was so
awesome.
excited. I had told, yeah, anyway. So, what has been your favorite moment or proudest moment doing comedy?
I will say off the cuff was a pretty good one because it was just the context of it. I had never been, I knew that it had happened, but I didn't know it was happening that night.
You
I
didn't
was there. Mhm. Me and Gio we met before that. A friend of ours in the comedy community sadly passed away this month. So there was a celebration of life happening for her in West Palm. And so that's where I saw Gio and Nico. And they said, we're going to off the cuff now. And I was like, oh, I didn't sign up. It's okay. I just want to go and mingle. And then I get there and I immediately changed my mind and started scheming for ways to get on stage. And was just like walking around. We went to Jackie and she was like, maybe if you sit at the front. And so then I sat at the front and stared at Warren the entire time until finally he called the name of a person that wasn't there. And I was just like, me. And he tried to act like we don't know you. And then Jackie was in the back, like, yes, we do.
Yeah,
And Adam Ray was actually the one that was like, let her go up.
yeah.
And I went up, and it was probably one of my best sets that I didn't plan. A lot of it was new material. I had also performed at the Celebration of Life. So it was the first time that I double dipped in one night.
Yeah, you did great
It
there
was,
too.
thank you. It was just a really big milestone for me in terms of breaking out of a lot of my comfort zones. So it was really cool.
Yeah. That was a good night. It was a pleasure to spend that night with you and like see your success.
Likewise. Thank you.
What has been the biggest challenge for you as being a comedian?
Definitely balancing work because like I said, I wake up for work around 5:30 because I have to drive to Fort Lauderdale.
Mhm.
And I can go in later. I have the option to go later, but traffic makes me anxious. So I've had to sacrifice how much I can go out at night on the week,
Mhm.
on weekdays. So I don't perform as much as I'd like to. I don't go to as many mics as I would like to. And that's not forever. The job isn't forever. I'm in that point where I'm very comfortable, and it's like if I really wanted to take the jump, I feel like I could. I'm just like haven't had that push yet.
Yeah.
And I know it's only up to me to push. But I don't know, it just hasn't felt right. And for the time being, comedy has been a great social setting, and it's a great like learning experience.
Mhm.
And I feel like even now, even if I don't get to do it as consistently as I'd like, all of the connections and relationships that I'm building are still going to be useful for the day that I do end up taking that big step.
Totally, totally. Networking is a big part of it. So
It's the biggest part.
yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, they say that if you want to do comedy, 95% of the work is off the stage. So,
Correct. 100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's my social scene. So, like, the majority of the comics that I worked with are also just good friends.
Yep.
So it just makes it easier to want to go out and support people, make the drives.
Yeah. That's why I
Yeah,
went out last night, just because it is also my social scene pretty much. Like, yeah, I'll go do other stuff here and there, but if I'm not on a Saturday night, if I feel like being out and I want to do something, I'll probably try to find a show nearby or
right.
whatever. So, or go hang out with comics outside of a show. So, let's get to know a little bit about you as a human. Like, tell us where you're from, what do you do
Mhm.
for work that's got you up so early, your family, if you want to share that, and if you have any
I
projects.
I am. I was born in Boca, raised in Coral Springs. I actually went to Stoneman Douglas High School,
Oh,
although
so just straight trash all the way across the board.
yeah. So
Really?
no, 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 no. He's right. But
A little bit.
no, I
Someone's
was
gotten into
lucky.
him, Ariel. Sorry about him.
It's okay. Luckily, I wasn't there. It happened. I graduated 2 years before all the stuff happened.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, that's just it's a little fun fact about me.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like one of the comics children were in that school.
it's possible.
Can't remember who, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and for work, I do digital marketing. So I'm an SEO analyst,
Okay.
which SEO stands for search engine optimization. Essentially, the digital marketing content that I write and create, I use certain tools to help me figure out what words to use so that Google will want to push it up organically as opposed to someone paying for a sponsored spot.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I had been working, one of my main clients was this major chain of rehab centers. And they just left, completely unplanned. It surprised everyone because they have a new CEO who wanted to change things up. Mind you, I went to their office for a meeting, and this was the first time I met the CEO. And I tell you, this man needed like a cat to be stroking. He gave such Dr. Evil vibes of like, what do you bring to the table? Like, I'm like, no, I don't know, dude. I just work here. Like,
A real Jeff Bezos type.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't Succession. This is fucking Boca. Like, let's relax here.
When you say SEO analyst, is that the same thing? Because I'm a business owner mainly as a
Mhm.
career. Um, so when the person calls me and is like, "Hey, would you like to get up to the top of the Google page?" So that's essentially the same kind of industry, or
Similarly, yeah, it can be because
well,
that could
take me off your list.
yes, it could
Put
also
me
be
on. I'm like,
it could be PPC or pay per clicks. It really just depends. But yeah, the goal is to get someone organically favored by Google so that more people see whatever it is they're selling.
Yeah, because if you're not on the first page of Google, you might as well just
Then
not be in business.
you
Yeah,
quite literally yes.
yeah.
So that's the goal. And since they left, I actually started on another mental health center, which I really, really like because it's brand new, which means I have a whole world of blog topics that I can write about. But I actually have jokes written about it when I worked for the rehab center that did addiction. I had to write about the most absurd, insane things that people do to like get high, which one of which is licking frogs. Like people just go find a frog.
Well, that's an old one. Yeah, that people were licking toads when I was in high school. That's crazy.
Also different kinds, like different colors of fentanyl. There was pink fentanyl, there was rainbow fentanyl, there was pink meth, blue heroin, cheese.
Which
heroin.
one are they doing on Euphoria? That's the one I want.
Those are opioids.
Okay, that's fine. Any of those,
which is also fentanyl.
Whatever they give to Zendaya, that's what I want.
All right. Do you have any other projects or podcasts or anything like that?
Not at the moment. I just have a very active Instagram where I repost TikToks that I think are funny every single day, and they bring other people joy. So I'm never going to stop doing it.
Well,
I was going to say,
and then we can get your social so we can people.
Well, I was going to say, is the SEO thing, your comedy should be right up at the top of the Google search, right?
It should be. I'm working on it.
You're working. Okay. Well, you got a leg up, I'm certain.
You got to.
Yeah. Any day now, Terry. Any day now.
Terry loves to mansplain. Sorry about that. But
anyway,
I live with my dad and my brother. It's okay. I'm used to it.
I'm acknowledging.
It looked like you were looking up at me.
I am.
Hi, Terry.
You should be.
That's right.
All right. So are you ready to play the blame game, Ariel?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, I don't know what to expect. I'm so nervous.
Ariel, you are a Ren Fair 10. Who's to blame?
Who's to blame? My mama for these tits.
I'm telling you, every girl with big tits loves the Ren Fair. Everyone I've ever known.
Because we wear corsets.
Yes, I know.
Ariel has a really funny joke about it, and that's why.
Even
and I'm like,
my ex-wife had double D's. She wasn't into Ren Fairs. She was all into Oktoberfest, which is the same thing because it's all the milk maiden corsets that,
I feel
beer
like,
maidens.
You double D. That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. She puts my girls to shame, bitch.
Yes, I'm sure.
But they are.
I try not to be too shit. Like I try to have good variety in the jokes that I write, so that they're not all about it. But I'm like, there are a wealth of material in there.
Yeah,
they're so funny to me. Like they're watermelons that I have to carry with me, and people want to fuck me because of it. Like, how hilarious is that? They're meant to feed babies.
It could be.
I also have a
back,
joke.
and
I also have an entire joke when I worked at a daycare center. Babies tried to breastfeed when I held them.
Oh my God.
Their head would just hit a tit.
It's in their face. I'm sure a few adults would too, girl. I'm sure a few adults.
Yeah, it's happened.
All right. So to give us your promotion, any promotions, any shows you got coming up, any social media, anything you want to tell people where they can catch you.
Really, the best place you can find me is going to be my Instagram. It's going to be abacon1022.
I thought it was Baron.
There is a story behind it. My last name is Baron. Back in like 2018 or something, I had to get CPR certified for a job. And when they gave me the CPR certification card from the company, they misspelled it as bacon.
Oh my God.
So it was like a huge running joke, oh, she's Jewish, it's bacon. And yeah, so I'm like, it's a fun little thing for me. It's for me more than anything.
Give it out one more time.
abacon1022. That's my birthday.
All right. Sounds like a Scorpio.
I'm a Libra.
Oh, okay, good.
No, but you're close. It's the very last day of Libra.
Yeah, you're on the cusp there.
It doesn't matter. No, it's all nonsense.
We're the same 12.
Okay, I love it. It's the most fun.
Carrie, is obviously a Virgo. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. It's
No,
what is it? Aries,
Pisces.
Pisces. All
But
right.
again, it
That
doesn't
checks
matter.
out. I'm just kidding.
All
Doesn't
right.
matter. None of it matters.
What are your
That to me-
Pisces words for people? Your Pisces words for white people this
My
week?
moon is in
Well,
Pisces.
my stop trying to get laid. Um, I struggled with whether to call this words for white people or words for all people this week, but I'm sticking with words for white people because it doesn't seem like people of color really have an issue with what I'm about to talk about. And the word this week is mind, as in your mind, as in the thing that controls you, and that you're somehow in control of at the same time. It controls you, but you control it. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on this thought this week, because it seems like when you see people with certain addictions or certain compulsions, it seems like their mind's in control. But we all know that you're also in control of your mind. So you can go back and forth and back and forth. But the best thing that I've ever read on the subject is this. It's a simple quote that I think everyone should hear and everyone should think about. But again, it's really more of a Caucasian issue, because I think that, let's say, black people, for instance, have had it so bad for so long, they know not to trust anything right off the bat. And you can say that for most people of the world who don't look like me. So the quote is this: if you never change your mind, then what's the point of having it? And that's a great thought, I think, because you should always be changing your mind. You should always be learning and always be evolving. If not, you're a syncope, or you're a cinco. You're an inanimate object. You're an AI bot that just spits out answers to questions that are always going to be the same, never evolving. And we should always be evolving. I had an argument with a family member over a political issue, and they said, well, 5 years ago you said the exact opposite. And I said, I know, I changed my mind because I gained new information, and that new information changed the equation for me. So now that it's changed the equation for me, I can answer it differently. Because again, if you never change your mind, what's the point of having it? And I know a lot of people will take that and go political with it. That's true. You can use that politically and evolve your thoughts that way, but it also can change the way you live, change the way you look at the world, change the way you look at dreams or aspirations, change the way you eat, the way you exercise, it changes everything. And that's the point. Always be changing your mind.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. I like that. That you can't
I like the
can't
snaps.
be
The
so
snaps.
rigid. You can't be so rigid. You gotta
Nope, because then you're just stubborn, and nobody likes a stubborn mule.
you never consider new information. You just whatever you came out and somebody told you, you're like, this is it.
That's right. If I never change my mind, I'd probably be an evangelical preacher right now.
I think one
So,
day you will learn that like what mansplaining is.
well, you say it's mansplaining. I just say it's splaining because, again, that's why I'm up here. Because no matter who you are on earth, I'm looking down on you,
There you go.
regardless.
That's the attitude you need.
Regardless of your
Except you're looking up
genitals.
at Ariel because she's up there. So,
Oh, well, that's just because we're in a Brady Bunch situation,
all right, all right, guys. All right, Terry, what you got?
Just the book. It's on Amazon now. It's Unclaimed Ashes. Order a copy and give me some money.
All right, Ariel, give us those handles one more time.
You can find me at A Bacon 1022. Find me, enjoy it, watch me, tell me I'm pretty.
You better.
Oh yeah, and listen to my other podcast on Spotify and YouTube. The Worst Ones. A group of preachers' kids discusses the world.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
they heathens now. You can catch
Just
me
me.
this week. I'm gonna be at Prosperity Brewing on Wednesday at 8, and then I'm going to be on Saturday at the Floridian Fest. in West Palm Beach, and I'm closing it out. So I think I'll be there closer to like 9.
Nice.
Going up. So it's a
It
30
doesn't
minute.
matter. Show up for the whole show.
No, it's a 30-minute set. We're all doing 30-minute sets, and there's like 7 or 8 of us. So it's going from like 5 to 10. It's going to be a constant inflow and outflow of people.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So
Well, then be the weirdo that stays for the whole set. The whole show.
Just in the back, heavy breathing, like
Yes, exactly. Just be the
That's
weirdo.
funny.
do a
Little
bit of
chest hair,
everybody's
little
set
chest
when I
hair
go
coming
through.
out of the shirt. That guy.
That's
Yeah,
good
be that
one.
guy.
No, thank you.
Mm.
All right. All right, everyone. Until next week.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Don't go anywhere.